second baseman. And this guy right now goes down swinging. 2-2, and that'll do it. Of course, Will Clark and Kevin Mitchell have been the deadliest 1-2 combo in all of baseball this season. We talked to pitching coach Scott Breeden about how in the world you try and stop this dynamic duo.
Well, the pitch of these two guys, they're two of the best hitters in the league. You pitch very carefully, obviously. But Will Clark, you try to get ahead of him, and you try to crowd him with the ball. And Mitchell is swinging the bat very well right now. And you just try to go in on him, then away, and try to get ahead and try to get him chase a bad pitch. Just try to throw his timing off if you can.
Now, it's easier said than done. 1-0 to Clark. All over the National League leaderboard in offensive categories this season for the third year in a row. Whoa. That hit the backstop.
We don't need to say that one got away from Jose, but it's like a possible forkball that just came out of his hand and just without even putting the pressure on it, looked like it just came right out of those fingers.
2-1 the count now to Clark. Laying straight away. Good pitch there. Back-to-back pitches on the outside corner to even things up. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Comes a payoff. And now it's full. Two pitch. And that will drift foul and into the seats. Count will stay right there. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Boy. Kevin Mitchell to follow Clark. Mitchell hit his 24th dinger of the season yesterday. That ball got out of here like O'Neill's 2 nights ago in a heartbeat. 3-2 pitch. And again fouls it off.
You don't think the Giants knew they had something special in Will Clark? How about this? His first game in the minor leagues, his first swing, home run. And then we all remember his first swing in the major leagues in his debut against Nolan Ryan in the Astrodome, home run. Will the thrill.
Well, the thrill is on. Shots on down to first. Had an interesting little note yesterday, the fact that Will Clark on his answering machine, he loves that nickname, the thrill. And the answering machine simply says, the thrill is gone.
Wonder if he sings that, Tom, or if it just says it, or whatever.
They will have to give him a ring. We're not leaving until tomorrow, so perhaps we'll do just that. They're staying here in San Francisco. Got a big series coming up against Houston. That gets underway tomorrow here at the Stick. Mind-boggling. 24 home runs, 65 RBIs.
And I certainly didn't think that when I saw Kevin Mitchell get his first big league hit off of Steve Carlton back in Philadelphia in '84 that we were looking at the next Babe Ruth. But boy, they're really getting into some comparisons here in the Bay Area about Mitchell and Ruth and Maris, and I'll tell you, he's right on track.
1-0 pitch. Rio had him fooled there. So they count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Rio knocked down Butler and then struck out Robbie Thompson. He walked Will Clark and is 1-1 on Kevin Mitchell.
A lot of positives on Jose's side statistically this year. The Reds have won 11 of the 14 games that he's started. Home runs in 86 innings, so he doesn't give up the long ball very much. Opponents only hitting .234 against Jose on the season.
Check swing towards Benzinger. He'll take it himself, and that'll do it. The Giants strand a runner, nothing across. After one complete, Reds nothing, Giants likewise. Those scores, Candlestick, it'll be 4, 5, and 6 for the Reds here in the second inning against Atlee Hammaker. That means Eric Davis, Rolando Rooms, and Paul O'Neill. And Davis, a drive to deep center field, but Butler will have room at the track and makes the catch. 1 out. Eric delivered that huge blow in Friday night's win. Came off the bench in a pitch hitting mode and drove Goose Gossage's first pitch over the left field wall to give the Reds a 1-run victory. This one also. Hammaker right away ahead. No balls and 2 strikes. Reds start play today. A game and a half back of the Giants. Houston stands at 1 back. Would like to get out of here and pick up some ground on these San Francisco Giants and head into Atlanta. A half a game back. 1-2. Mention the fact that it'll be the first time those 2 teams have seen one another. Fouled off. Still 1-2. That guy's been swinging a good club as of late. Paul O'Neill. Boy, he destroyed one out of here yesterday. 1-2. And Rooms a drive into the left center field gap. This may drop for extra bases. He's on his way to second as Butler scoops it up. And Rooms with the double.
Paul O'Neill walking up to the plate now, and Tom mentioned a couple of home runs in his last few games. We had a chance to talk to Paul before the game. Asked him what he attributes his hot bat to here of late.
Well, basically, just like any other park, you try to go up and make good, solid contact, and you never know in this place. If you get the ball up, you know, it might blow out and it might blow in, but the main thing is for us to try to get out here with 2 out of 3, and by the way, happy Father's Day.
Here to that. Happy Father's Day to all the dads watching across Reds country today. I have the fortune of having 2 dads. So I'd like to wish a happy Father's Day to both of them, and Lenny, a happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you so much, and thanks, Paul. It's funny, in the clubhouse, all the guys are going, happy Father's Day, you mothers. Just an old baseball joke, that's all.
1 ball and 1 strike. 1 out. Room stands at second base. Collects the first base hit for Cincinnati against Atlee Hammaker, and O'Neill would like to get him in. One. Right side. Hammaker going to beat him to the bag. Yeah, he does. So a good play by Hammaker to get over there and knock O'Neill off as Rooms advances on to third. So a 2 down. If the Reds hope to get one off Hammaker here in the second, those hopes lie on the shoulder of Bo Diaz. Bo's still really struggling at the plate. 155. And a drive to center field, but again, Butler drifting back, shy of the warning track, and hauls it in. The Reds come up with a base hit. They hit a couple of balls hard that inning, but not enough. No score. Hills Coffee Mug Night is Friday, June 30th, when the Reds start a big weekend series against the Mets at 7:35. The first 15,000 fans in attendance receive a free coffee mug that will look great in your kitchen or office all year round. So remember the Mets and the Reds, Friday, June 30th, Coffee Mug Night. Thanks to the folks at Hills Department Stores. How about that? One of the fans here at Candlestick today. Rooting on the Cincinnati Reds. Ernest Riles, followed by Pat Sheridan, then Terry Kennedy. And Rijo again starting most of the batters so far today on the outside part of the plate. Strike one. And even up 1-1.
Much better start today than we saw in San Diego there on Wednesday night. Jose looks in real good control, real good command out there. His mechanics just seem altogether different than when we saw him on Wednesday. And there you see right there that split finger is really working for him, that fork ball.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Riles. Riles at 286, has 4 home runs, has driven in 19 runs, and he and Greg Litton have split time down at third base, and that has proved to be a very productive pair for Roger Craig and this ball club. We've seen Riles make a couple of fantastic plays at third in this series. One of them on Luis Quinones to get things started today. 2-2. Davis underneath it. 1 out. Well, here's the newest San Francisco Giant. Well, I should correct myself. I guess Bedrosian would fit that category, but a couple of days ago, Tracy Jones dealt to the Detroit Tigers for Pat Sheridan and steps up there for the first time in the National League. Pretty steady ball player. Guy had some good seasons with Detroit, but an off year last year when he only hit 3 home runs and drove in 15 RBIs. He was injured most of the season, appeared in but 50 games. 1-2.
Originally came out of the Kansas City Royal organization. I remember playing against Pat a couple of years in the American Association when he was with Omaha.
2-2. The break-even pitch. That's Harris's way. 2 up, 2 down. Money Harris again getting the start today at second base. And again against a left-handed pitcher. That has to give him some confidence.
That is a big vote of confidence for Lenny from manager Pete Rose. Nothing a left-handed hitter enjoys more than seeing his name in the lineup against left-handed pitching.
Terry Kennedy, a first pitch swinger. Benzinger on to Rijo, and a 1-2-3 inning. On we go to the third. 0-0 at Candlestick. Splendid afternoon here in San Francisco. Another big crowd on hand. They were expecting in the neighborhood of around 115,000 for this 3-game series, and well over 40 today. You look around the stands, and yesterday they had a crowd of 38, and certainly more folks in here today than yesterday. Lenny Harris fouls it off. 0-1. You and I were talking yesterday and Friday. These fans are really into baseball out here.
sitting in the stands yesterday. I might add, for the first time, I think that I saw a game from the stands in about 20 years, but it really gave you a feel of the excitement that this crowd generates when the Giants are going good.
Broken bat, and it'll go up the middle. Uribe, whoa, what a play to get him.
Lenny's going to get sawed off here by an inside fastball. But the play by Uribe looks like he has no chance. Looks like it's by him already. Gets his glove back and throws a perfect strike to get Lenny by a step. Watching these guys, Thompson and Uribe, over a period of time, you're just consistently amazed at how good they are defensively.
Jose Rios fouls it off.
I mean, if they didn't hit but 220 between them, I think their value is still very, very much and a great deal to whatever ball club they're on, and can't say enough about them.
Rio goes the opposite way. It drops in front of Sheridan for a base hit. Well, right there, Sheridan thought for a moment Rio hit the ball so hard right at him. Will Clark went over to cover first base, and Sheridan gave him a double take.
Well, I told Jose before the game I wasn't going to talk about his pitching. He was hitting so good in batting practice today. I said, I'm just going to talk about your hitting. What does he do? Lines one his first time up. And we've got something going here in the third inning.
Let's hope Luis Quinones can keep the beat going for Cincinnati. He was robbed on a splendid play down at third base by Ernest Riles. Went to his knees, came up, threw from one knee, and pegged Quinones by a good 2 steps. 1-0 pitch. And he fouls it off. Count even at 1-1. Reds are 10-7 in a stretch of 28 games against the Western Division. Overall for the season, 19-15, but that 10-7 mark rather misleading when you consider the fact they took the first 3 from San Diego at Riverfront, 3 of 5 from San Francisco, but on this road trip, under 500. There goes the runner. Fouled off.
And Reds always tease us a little bit by starting out the road trip, a couple of shutouts. You think, well, 3 out of 4 is a definite possibility in Dodger Stadium. Blow the Padres out the first game and then lose 2, so seems like it's always been a rubber game every series this year. And it really puts the pressure on that pitcher that's going out there to try to win that rubber game.
1-2. That pitcher, Jose Rijo, is at first base. In the dirt. Good play by Kennedy. 2-2. Yeah, the Reds, unlike the Houston Astros or the San Francisco Giants, have been unable to string any kind of consistency together in terms of wins. You have to wonder if this team has the intensity at times to win 16 out of 17 like Houston did not too long ago. Two and two with Rijo at first, 1 out. And fouls it off again. Todd Benzinger hoping for the opportunity to step up there and drive in a Cincinnati run. He awaits on deck. Two-two pitch. Trouble. Put it in the bank. 5-4-3 double play gets Hamaker out of the inning. Reds get 1 hit, but nothing across. Tom Brenneman along with Lemon Tuesday. Good Dodgers rather head. Candlestick Park. Boy, I'm running a week behind around here. Jose Rio has not given the Giants a base hit as of yet, and looking pretty strong through 2 innings.
Any idea how they got the name Candlestick Park here, Tom? Dating back to the 60s when the Giants came out here?
No idea.
All right. We'll give you a half inning to think about it, and if you can't fathom a guess, we might help you.
I thought I gave you a guess the other day in the car, riding out here.
You couldn't have been serious about that one now.
Yeah, what the heck?
You think about it here.
All right. Jose Uribe, Atlee Hammaker, then Brett Butler in the Giants' third. Quinones pulled in at third base. He fouls it off. You know, there's only one thing better than a Reds win, and that's celebrating that win with an ice-cold Budweiser. Reds fans, this Bud's for you. 0-1 pitch. And in Benzinger's way, 1 out. So that'll bring up the pitcher Hammaker as Uribe is retired. 1 down in the inning. Well, this San Francisco ball club has been nothing short of spectacular here at Candlestick Park. They have won 11 of 14, 13 of 18, 16 of their last 22. Swing and a miss, 0-1. That all adds up to a 22-12 record at home this year. 1-1.
I wonder if Atlee Hammaker went to talk hitting with Harry the Hat Walker over the offseason there. There's a guy hitting 102 lifetime. He's hitting 417 on the season as we see Todd Benzinger put it away for out number 2. Never know about pitchers and their hitting.
Well, they do find a way to get Hammaker out. Other teams have had trouble doing that, obviously so. And back we go to the top of the order with Brett Butler. Butler hit a drive into the right center field gap that Paul O'Neill hauled in over his shoulder to retire him back in the first. High ball 1. Cincinnati outfield really plays Brett Butler shallow, particularly Eric Davis in center field.
A couple fly balls already hit out to Eric so far this afternoon. Perhaps he's judged that the wind is holding that ball up enough so that he's not worried about Brett Butler hitting it over his head. Obviously, he knows something that maybe we're not aware of up here in the booth.
Doesn't make any difference. Slaps a single to left. First base hit for San Francisco. And the second base runner. That'll bring up second baseman and red-hot Robbie Thompson. I mentioned the other night that Brett Butler stole 43 bases last year. However, he was cut down 20 times. And when he was in the American League with Cleveland, twice he led the league in times caught attempting to steal. 0-1.
Just watching the Giants here in this 3-game series, I think we've seen Butler do a little bit of everything. Goes deep yesterday, hit the ball probably as hard as he can hit it. Gets an infield hit to drive in a run, so we've seen his speed right there. He goes with the pitch, slaps it into left field. He's really a complete ball player.
Thompson goes the opposite way. It'll drop for a base hit. Butler going to third. They're going to wave him to the plate. Here comes the throw, and he is safe. And there is yet another weapon in the great repertoire of that Brett Butler.
Well, with 2 outs, Butler's taking off as soon as this ball's hit. Paul O'Neill jumps on it real quickly, but it Aggressive base running by Coach Bill Fahey down at third base. He recognized the situation, even with Will Clark coming up. And we'll see Butler coming around third base, but even with that, with the situation being with 2 outs and Clark coming up, he stays aggressive, and that's one of the trademarks of Roger Craig since he came over, is that he wants his club staying aggressive on the base paths, and they're running at all times.
Diaz had to come up the line a bit for that one, and Butler around towards the back part of the plate to get in there. Here's Will Clark. Strike one on the outside corner. Well, he's top 4 hitters in this San Francisco lineup. We were talking earlier about 3 and 4. But throw in 1, 2, 3, and 4. These guys can get it done as well as any team in baseball's top 4 hitters. And arguably the best in the National League.
And here's where it becomes really tough if you're a pitcher. If you're Jose Rijo, first base is open and you've got the left-handed hitting Clark. And you think, well, maybe I can pitch around him, but not with Kevin Mitchell coming up, because he is the hottest hitter right now in baseball. And he's just killing the Reds so far this year, as he is every team.
Dangerous situation here. 2 balls and 1 strike. Giants have 1 in. They lead 1-0. We're in the bottom half of the third with 2 away, and that's how it all got started. Uribe went out. Likewise for Hammaker. Then Butler singled, Thompson with a double to right. Butler scored. And an even more dangerous situation now. 3-1, we made note a couple of nights ago over Will Clark's career. He is a .565 batter in 3-1 situations. Good pitch there, 3-2.
Excellent fastball right underneath the hands on the inside corner. And Clark knows how well he hits 3-1. I mean, every hitter knows that they're on top and have the advantage 3-1. So Jose really got that one up there.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Robbie Thompson leading at second. 2 gone in the inning. Hit hard but foul right side. Count still at 3-2.
One of the toughest pitches for a left-handed hitter with a hard thrower like Jose Rijo, who also features that hard slider, is that pitch right there, that slider. Jose didn't get it down quite enough, but he got it in. It's a pitch that a left-hander has a lot of trouble staying off of.
Drive to left field. That will go foul. Bringing good stuff to Clark, but he's staying in there by fouling pitches away as Thompson heads back towards second base.
When you least expect it, here in Candlestick, the wind blowing like crazy, really gusting out there in the field now. That's why it's so important for the outfielders to always be checking those flags, throwing grass up in the air, whatever. See what it's doing.
3-2 pitch. And again, fouled off. So a pretty good duel going on right here in a tough situation. Jose Rijo and Will Clark. Yesterday, Clark was 1 for 2 at a sacrifice RBI and also scored a run. Thompson at second. Giants leading 1-0. Here comes the 3-2 pitch with 2 gone in the third. Two on, and here comes the big guy.
Pretty close pitch there by Jose, but Will Clark showing you another reason why he's such a good hitter. And there you see it, his 8th career walk and 12 at-bats against Jose. Makes you wonder if Jose really wants to go after Will Clark or not, but that was a good confrontation here early on in the ball game, but we've got another one now coming up with Mr. Mitchell coming to the plate.
Boy, it seems like confrontations never run out when you're facing Roger Craig's batting order. So now the situation is Thompson at second base, Will Clark at first, 2 outs in the inning. Mitchell walked back in the first. They check that, grounded out to Todd Benzinger in the first. Clark drew a walk. Mitchell, a .286 batter lifetime against Rio. And Thompson back easily at second base. Thompson at second, Clark at first. 1-0 to Mitchell. 2-0.
That pickoff attempt that we just saw, that's a good play, especially in this situation with a runner like Robbie Thompson. He's so aggressive out there, and he's thinking score on a base hit with 2 outs. And if it does nothing else, it holds him from getting that, from going into his primary lead into the secondary lead. And if it just holds him for a split second, could be enough. You have a play at the plate on a single.
2-0 pitch. That looked identical to the last one, and Mitchell questioning the call. He thought if you're going to call it a ball the first time, you have to call it a ball the second time. Nevertheless, 2-1. Clark leading at first. Thompson doing the same at second as Harris tries to sneak in behind it. 2-1. Gets away from Diaz. Both runners will advance. Thompson to third, Clark to second.
And now if you're Pete Rose, you're almost forced to walk Kevin Mitchell here. Certainly you're not going to give him anything good to hit. A slider. Now, Bo just seemed to not be able to get all the way out and get his glove out on that one. You don't like to see a backhand attempt there. You'd want to see the catcher shift out, keep the ball in front of him. But we've talked about so many times with the wind affecting fly balls, it can affect pitches. I can remember a time here playing first base, and Mike Schmidt threw a ball over across the infield to me at first base, and it literally, the bottom dropped out of it. I missed it, hit off the heel of my glove for an error. I'm sure everybody in the stands was wondering how could he miss a ball that was right at him, felt high, but I tell you, it just stopped and just fell on me. You just never know here. And I know Rick Mailer talked about how it can affect his control on Friday night.
Let's see what they do with Mitchell. 3-1 count. And he got it on the outside corner. 3-2. That is surprising. Scott Breeden comes out to the mound, and they made the decision they're going to go after Mitchell. Only problem is, if he hits one out on you, you look back, and it's easy to second guess. Why in the world would you let a guy like Mitchell beat you when you've got Ernest Ryle standing on deck? Thompson at third, Clark at second. Giants leading 1-0. 2 gone in the inning. The 3-2 pitch coming to Mitchell. And it looks like they might get out of it. O'Neill had to battle the wind, and now even goes down in the outfield. But that's the third out. The Giants come up with 1 run on a couple of base hits. They leave 2. 1-0 at the end of 3. Nothing, or rather 1-0. San Francisco are score at the end of 3 innings. Candlestick Park. And Rio pitching well so far, but likewise for Hamaker.
Yeah, they're both in another pitcher's duel like we've seen so often here on this road trip. But Jose looks really sharp, and we were both surprised that they went at Kevin Mitchell in that situation. certainly Scotty Braden more than likely said, Jose, now we're not going to groove anything to him. You're going to have to make him hit your pitch. And Tom, you know, we asked you about the reason why they named Candlestick Park here in San Francisco. Have you thought about it? Any idea yet?
I got a feeling it has something to do with this area out here being Candlestick Point.
You did your homework, because we asked Tom this on the way here Friday night, and I don't think he knew, or if you did, you weren't leading on.
No.
That's right. That's exactly right. Where the stadium's built here on Candlestick Point here, right by the bay.
I'm not going to take credit for it. I'm not going to take credit for it. Our director, Roy Alfers, trying to make me look good. I would have had no clue. Benzinger 0 for 1 hit a ground ball to Jose Uribe back in the first. Reds need to play catch-up once again, as they have in both games of this series. Fell behind, of course, on Friday night when Butler got things started with a double and then was driven in by Will Clark. Barry Larkin will follow Benzinger. And then yesterday, the Giants came out of the gate. A triple by Thompson, a sacrifice fly by Clark in the first inning. 3-1 now to Benzinger. After this batter, we'll catch up today on all the National League action going on from coast to coast. And there is ball 4. Let's do just that, Lenny.
Here's our first look today at the National League scores. Start with the Chicago-Montreal game. Andre Dawson has hit his 6th home run. That game in the bottom of the 9th at Olympic Stadium. Cubs on top 5-4. Mark Langston pitching for Montreal. Mike Bilecki for the Cubs. Philly has just defeated the Mets 6-5 in Philadelphia. Von Hayes is 13th home run. Howard Johnson, now second in the league, hit his 16th. Dave Maggott in his 3rd. Pirates putting a hurting on the Cardinals, 12-4, bottom of the 9th in St. Louis. Former Red Gary Reedus hit his 2nd home run for the Pirates in that game. Atlanta, Los Angeles in the bottom of the 1st, just getting started. Zane Smith, 1-10 on the year against Fernando Valenzuela. We see a pop-up off the bat of Barry Larkin. Wynn took that one into the stands. Houston and Mike Scott on top of San Diego, 2-1. Scott 10-4 going into today's game against Walt Terrell, who's 4-8. We'll give you all the American League scores in the bottom half of the 4th inning.
Certainly keep an eye on that Houston game. They trail the Giants by 1. The Reds a game and a half back. Barry Larkin with a count of no balls and 2 strikes. Larkin hit a ground ball Robbie Thompson's way sharply, but Thompson made a fine play to his left to throw Larkin out. Quickly pause for station identification along the Reds television network. Benzinger at first, nobody out. Now Larkin with the winds swirling around Candlestick. We have literally seen them blow from our right to left, our left to right, and now the flags are somewhat confused in straightaway center. One blowing straight out, the other 2 blowing towards right. Larkin, a drive to center field, but Butler right there, 1 out.
We had a perfect view from behind the backstop here of that ball. It started out a little bit in left center, and we could see it trail into right center. Brett Butler, not surprised by it. He saw what the flags are doing. I guess if 2 out of the 3 flags are blowing one way, that's the way we've got to assume that the wind is blowing. So I guess that's what Butler was looking at too.
And you got to play the percentages on those things. They have the California flag and a Giants flag on one pole, the U.S. flag on the other. Take your chances. Here's Davis. He hit a fly ball deep Butler's way back in the 2nd. Benzinger leading at first. Fouled off. 0-1. Well, we mentioned in the insights, one of the things the Reds had hoped to do today was get to Atlee Hammaker because he's been so tough on him in the past.
And he's also been so tough here at Candlestick, and he looks like he's settling in, unfortunately, on having a pretty good game. But Eric really took a cut there, and he's had some good cuts here against Atlee so far. Here's another guy you wonder why they're going to give him anything good. He's destroyed the Giants over his career.
Well, now they count 1-1 to Davis. Has hit safely in 8 of his last 9 games as Benzinger takes his lead at first. That is a .345 average for Davis. Swing and a miss. 1-2.
Good split finger that time by Atlee Hammaker. Like so many of these Giant pitchers, when you've got the guru of the split finger fastball as your manager, it might be a wise choice to learn how to develop that pitch, and so many of these guys have for San Francisco.
I want to ask you something about that split finger here in a moment. 1-2 to count to Davis. There are others who would argue that it does damage to arms. Case in point, Mike Krukow started to pitch with a split finger. He's on the disabled list. Likewise for Kelly Downs.
I wish I could give you a definitive answer on that one. And I know there's a lot of experts that say that throwing the split finger as opposed to throwing a lot of breaking balls.
Drive to left field. Mitchell at the wall and hauls it in. They aren't missing by much. Davis has hit 2 rockets, both caught at the track. 2 away.
Good swing on any other day, or at least on any other time frame than what we're on right now with that wind blowing so heavily out to right field. Eric might have had it. Getting back, though, to talking about that split finger, there's a lot of experts that claim that throwing the split finger would be a little easier, at least on the elbow, because it takes away the pitcher throwing a lot of breaking balls. I know Mike Scott, before he came up with the split finger, threw a lot of sliders, a lot of curveballs. Now he's basically fastball split finger. So from an elbow standpoint, it might be better. Shoulder standpoint, that's still debatable.
Well, here's Rolando Rooms as Benzinger remains at first base with 2 outs. Rooms a base hit up the middle, his second of the ball game. Benzinger will put on the brakes at second, and the Reds are looking for a 2-out base hit from Paul O'Neill. O'Neill hitting .459 against the Giants this season, with 5 taters and 11 RBIs. He ranks 4th in the National League in the runs batted in department with 46. Hammaker bringing it. O'Neill did not like that call a little bit. Appeared to be low, but it goes for a strike. The 0-1. Inside out. 0-2.
It's John Kibler behind the plate today calling balls and strikes. And Paul, who doesn't usually say very much to the home plate umpires, not in agreement with number 9.
No, he is not. So Hammaker in control as Benzinger is at second. Rooms at first. 0-2 to O'Neill. And he lifts it off the third base side. It'll drop foul. Runners on the go, and they will head back towards their respective bases. Benzinger at second and Rooms at first. If you're wondering about the home run ball here, keep this in mind. The last left-hander to take Atlee Hammaker deep was Darryl Strawberry back in May of 1987. So this guy is pretty nasty to those left-handed hitters who are thinking about taking him out of here.
Not only the left-handed hitters, but this year in 53 innings, only 2 home runs allowed in 53 innings. We talked about earlier in the show that he's got such a good sinker. On days he might only need that pitch to really pitch it effectively and get hitters out. Anybody that throws a sinker in a couple of different fashions like Atlee Hammaker, you're right, Tom, it's going to be awful difficult to go deep on him.
Here comes the pitch. And a little bit low. So the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. O'Neill having a word or two there with home plate umpire John Kibler. Wondering how in the world at least that first one went for a strike. 1 and 2. Try to get him fishing for one outside, even up.
Pitcher doesn't mind giving up a couple of pitches when he's out in front 0-2, but this is the one that Hammaker has been setting up with those 2 balls.
2-2 pitch. And now he is running full. Bo Diaz had the opportunity to get home a run from third base back in the second. He may face that same type of opportunity if O'Neill should reach. Hammaker bearing in on Terry Kennedy. Benzinger at second. Rooms at first. 3-2 coming to Paul O'Neill. And there is ball 4.
Before the game, Paul O'Neill was walking out on the field getting ready for batting practice, and Roger Craig turned to Paul and asked him when he was going to stop hitting so many home runs against his ball club. But then he turned to me and he said, you know, there's the most improved hitter that he has seen over the last couple of years. And you have to wonder, even 0-2, Atlee Hammaker may be wanting to face Bo Diaz in this situation because he's struggling so bad.
Well, Hammaker's struggling right now. Pitching coach Sherry will come out and have a word along with Terry Kennedy, and you have to think just trying to settle the young left-hander down at this point.
Giants really have the luxury of having not just one pitching coach in Norm Sherry, but with their manager Roger Craig being a former pitching coach of the Tigers. That's a lot of experience. Norm Sherry has been given a lot of credit over the years in developing some pitchers and catchers as well. He's a former catcher. Helped develop Gary Carter to an excellent catcher into Montreal.
Well, he misses high. So that is 6 balls in a row from Atlee Hammaker. He was ahead of O'Neill 0-2, threw in 4 straight, and now 2-0 to Diaz with the bases loaded. And it gets away from Riles. All hands are safe. Benzinger scores, and we're even at 1-1. Bo hit it right on the nose, and Riles couldn't handle it down at third.
Second ball that Bo's hit right on the nose. First time he flied out deep to center field. This is a tough hop for Ernest Riles. Short hop. If he did anything wrong there, he had his body turned towards shortstop rather than getting it completely centered where maybe he might have had to play, but that was a tough chance.
Lenny Harris off the fist. Uribe will play to first, and that will do it. But the Reds come up with a run to even things up here at the Stick. We're in the middle of the 4th. 1-1 our score. A new ball game in San Francisco. 1-1 our score. Reds and the Giants. Jose Rio. I think she's trying to get Len Matuzik on camera. She's aiming up our way. Well, maybe not. Shades of summer here in the Bay Area. Closing in on what should be a fine and dandy Western Division race from start to finish. Well, you look around and you figure certainly 3, if not more, clubs could be in this thing when all is said and done come September, as Riles takes ball 1. But like we mentioned the other night, I'm not so sure you can totally count the Dodgers out of this thing yet.
Not when you lead the league in pitching. When you lead the league in pitching, you're going to be reckoned with. I don't see that pitching staff faltering unless they have some injuries, because their top pitcher, Mike Morgan leads the league in ERA, 1.5 ERA, and you're telling me he's only 5-5. That's a lack of support big time.
Riles towards Harris. And one away.
All right, time to bring you up to date here on the American League scores. Baltimore makes it 3 out of 4 over the Western Division leading Oakland A's. They beat them 4-2. Dave Schmidt, the winner, 6-5. Kurt Young took the loss. He's 2-7 now. Texas beats New York in Yankee Stadium 5-2. Charlie Huff goes 8 innings to get the win. He's now 5-6. Ruben Sierra with 3 hits. Ken Phelps hit his 3rd home run for the Yankees. The Indians behind Greg Swindell. He wins his 9th decision in 10 ball games. 9-1. They defeat Kansas City 4-1. Bo Jackson hits his 16th for the Royals. Mike Witt, a winner for the California Angels. His record only 4-7. They defeat the Tigers 3-1. David Palmer was the loser. Seattle Mariners over Toronto in that new Sky Dome up there in Canada, 8-2. Scott Bank had the winner, and in Minnesota, the Metrodome, Brewers and the Twins are tied 6-6 in the bottom of the 9th. Gary Gaetti has homered his 11th. Frank Viola started that game for Minnesota. Another game in the bottom of the 9th, Boston over Chicago, 7-4. And that's it from the American League.
We'll pass along what should be a host of finals come the 8th inning from around the National and American League. 1 ball, 1 strike on Pat Sheridan. Or 2-2 rather. Here it comes. And Rijo missed outside, so the count goes full with 1 out here in the 4th. Swing and a miss. Second strikeout for Rijo, 2 down in the inning.
And that was that slider we were talking about. Gives you such the appearance of that 90-plus mile-an-hour fastball, and then the bottom drops off. As long as you keep it down in the strike zone there, you're not going to get hurt. The best that the hitter can do with that one is foul it off of his foot or foul it down the first base line.
2 up, 2 down here in the 4th, and Terry Kennedy strikes strike 1. Kennedy bounced out Benzinger to Rijo back in the 2nd. And he goes right side again. Lenny Harris on to Todd, and that'll do it. 1-2-3 inning for Jose, and after 4 complete from Candlestick, Rijo 1-1 against Hamaker. Rubber game from San Francisco's Candlestick Park. And it's been even through 4 complete. Cincinnati won, San Francisco won. It'll be Jose Rijo followed by Luis Quiñones, and then Todd Benzinger here in the 5th. Adley Hamaker has allowed the Reds 4 base hits through 4 innings of work. Rijo had 1 of them. And this will bounce foul. 0-1.
This left-hander's had to overcome a lot of injury over his career. Really threw the ball hard when he first came on the scene in the major leagues in 1982, and then in his first year with the Giants in 83, but then 2 rotator cuff surgeries on his left shoulder, removal of bone spurs on his left elbow, and torn cartilage in his left knee. That really set him back for a good 2 to 3 years.
We understand another big deal has been made in the National League today besides the one Philadelphia made with San Francisco. They had a busy day of it altogether. We understand that Cincinnati grad, or Full Rain grad from Cincinnati, Roger McDowell, Lenny Dykstra, and a player to be named later have been dealt to Philadelphia for center fielder, former second baseman Juan Samuel. Interesting trade.
And one wonders if the Mets might insert Samuel back to his second base position with the struggle of Greg Jeffries, or if they're going to put him in center field.
Swing and a miss, down goes Rijo. That should be a question which will be interesting to find the answer out.
still have Mookie Wilson, even though he's really struggling this year. The bet might be that Samuel will play center. But Father's Day 1989 will be remembered as a big trading day here in the National League.
So Roger McDowell, Lenny Dykstra, and a player to be named later go to Philadelphia in exchange for Juan Samuel. One down in the inning, Luis Quinones takes strike one. Initial reaction to that is a deal which should help, you would think, the New York Mets tremendously. Samuel is one of the most underrated players in the National League and has been for 4 or 5 years. In play, 2 down.
You've also got to like it from the Philadelphia Phillies standpoint, the 2 deals they make. Look who they acquire. A couple of good left-handed pitchers from the Giants, Dennis Cook, Terry Mulholland. Now they've got Roger McDowell in their bullpen, who might be able to step in for Bedrosian and an everyday center fielder and Lenny Dykstra. I don't think McDowell can exactly step in for Bedrosian, but still, it gives you another quality pitcher, and the Phillies need help for the future, not right now.
Hatlicker has knocked the Reds down 1-2 here in the 5th. Here's Benzinger. He walked and scored in the 4th. This is high and away, ball 1. And again misses. 2 balls and no strike. Talking about the Dodgers pitching a little bit earlier. San Francisco ranks second only to Los Angeles in the National League team ERA. Benzinger, as Clark gives chase, he won't get there. It drops into the seat. In the past 9 games for Roger Craig's club, Giants starters have given up 12 earned runs in 67 and a third innings pitched. That is a 1.60 ERA. Two and 1 to Benzinger. And a shot down the left field line. Mitchell going that way, cannot get to it. He goes down. Benzinger on to second base and will have to stop right there. And Mitchell went down hard out there in the left field corner.
And for Reds fans, you have to be hoping that Kevin Mitchell might not get up out there as he goes down. We see it just out of his reach, and then he takes a header right into the left field corner, but gets up quickly to get the ball back to Jose Uribe. Todd goes into second base with a 2-out double. All the Olympic judges out there in left field put up the cards. 2 6s and a 7. We'll give him a 6-8. Great effort by Kevin Mitchell.
0-1 to Barry Larkin. Benzinger at second base. The Reds the opportunity to jump on top. When Mitchell, you got to wonder if he was hit by a train, if that guy would be injured. Remember the catch he made a little bit earlier in the season, going down that line in left field and caught it barehanded. Up in Busch Stadium. Rest assured the fans there will remember. Larkin towards center field. Butler on the run and hauls it in. Reds get a hit, but leave Benzinger at second. 1-1, middle of the 5th. The 4th annual Equitable Old Timers game comes to Riverfront Sunday, June 25th, prior to the Reds game with the Dodgers. This game features former Red stars such as Johnny Bench, Tony Perez, Darrell Chaney, and Johnny Temple against a team of Equitable All-Stars. It's always great fun. The Old Timers game starts at 1:40. So make plans now for Sunday, June 25th. Jose Uribe, Atlee Hammaker, and Brett Butler to face Jose Uribe. Boy, he has looked pretty tough today. Has allowed only a couple of base hits. Problem was they were back-to-back in the third inning with 2 outs. Butler and then Thompson, who had the RBI double to bring in Butler all the way from first. 0-1 to Uribe.
2 walks on the afternoon. That's a good sign. Jose struggling with his control his last few times out.
Boy, and Jose Rijo is not going to fool around with Jose Uribe. Rest assured, he remembers last week at Riverfront. With all the thunder in the San Francisco Giant order, it was Uribe who took Rijo out to right field with one aboard. And that is Uribe's only home run of the season. Rijo, you might remember, got out of a bases-loaded jam in that ball game with only 1 out. Uribe, however, made him pay for all those pitches in the second.
Both players coming from the Dominican Republic. A lot of kidding going on about Jose Uribe taking Rijo deep before today's game.
1-2. What a durable player this guy is. Started all but one of San Francisco's games in 1989. Solid performer offensively and defensively. Close play, 1 out. So here's the pitcher, Hammaker. Popped out to first back in the third inning and tries to lay down a bunt, but foul. Strike 1.
Atlee Hammaker, born in Carmel, California, grew up in Alexandria, Virginia, and his mother is a native of Kyoto, Japan. A little Far East blood in him.
Has a Polynesian look about him, certainly does. 1-1. Fouled off, 1-2.
Really admire a pitcher, especially who can overcome that rotator cuff injury. And as we mentioned, he's had 2 surgeries for that. I went through that myself, and not being a pitcher, one of the observations I made was that if I was a pitcher, no way I could go out there and perform in the same manner.
2 down. Good throw from Larkin on to Benzinger. Rio has knocked off 6 in a row, and here's Brett Butler.
Once you have that injury, Tom, you undergo a lifelong process, at least as long as you're playing the game, of constantly strengthening that shoulder. Arm strengthening exercises become a very important part of your daily itinerary, and it never stops. And I can just imagine having to go through the surgery twice, what he's had to do to come back.
Butler hit a drive to right center field back in the first, and O'Neill made a fine play to rob him of an extra base hit. And then in the third, he finally came up with a single, slapping it towards left, eventually scored. Quinones pulled in tight at third. The 1-0 pitch. And again, looking towards left. 1-1. He has that down to his science. Quinones 3 steps in, down towards third base. 1-1 to Butler. Tough play. Not going to get him. I was just getting ready to make the point. This guy will stay out of a slump because of his ability to bunt out, or to beat out rather, bunts for base hits. couple of times in his career, he's had 20 or more of them.
The Reds definitely had the third base side taken away from him with Louis Quinones moved in, but that's just a perfect bunt. Great play, really, by Lenny Harris here. Does everything that he can. You see the ball hitting Brett Butler. Otherwise, he might have been on his way to second base, but nothing you can do there as a second baseman but just what Lenny Harris did. But you're right, Tom Butler. He's, again, another way that he's impressed us here in this weekend series. He has done everything to display his fine skills as an offensive player and defensively.
Here's Robbie Thompson. Strike one. Thompson drove in the lone Giants run back in the third in this similar type of situation. 2 out. Butler standing at first. He looped one down the right field line, and Butler turned on the Jets to get home. 0-1. O'Neill and Wright. Shades go down. And so do the Giants. 1 base hit in the inning, but nothing across. Still 1-1 after 5. As we rejoin the action here at Candlestick Park, nothing in 1 to Eric Davis. 1-1 score. Davis has hit 2 ropes. 1 to deep center that sent Butler to the track. And another to the left, which did the same to Kevin Mitchell.
Not the right time or the right day for Eric to hit those balls. Just getting him up in the air just a little bit too much. But you're right, he's had good swings, and now Roger Craig's on his way to the mound. Perhaps Atlee Hammaker has injured that arm that we've talked about, that he's really battled back from ever since his first surgery on that rotator cuff back in 1984.
Hammaker talking things over with Roger Craig. And they are going to allow him to throw a couple of pitches to see if he can find out exactly what the problem is and thus get it straightened out. Threw a strike to Davis and apparently didn't like the way that arm felt.
It's got to be so tough on the pitchers here in Candlestick that pitch all year long here, coming back from an injury of that type. He did injure himself. Roger Craig motioning for somebody to come out of that bullpen shed. You can remember when those weren't here at Candlestick Park. They just had benches down there, and it really became difficult from a visitor's standpoint. The visiting bullpen right there by the fans, and they might have had to send somebody to get a pitcher out of the Giants clubhouse. Michael Lacoste looks to be the choice.
We'll see as he will come out of that bullpen. It does indeed look like the former Red Mike Lacoste. And he has certainly had his troubles as of late with San Francisco. And Atlee Hammaker, we certainly hope will be okay. We'll check that situation out for you. It's 1-1. We're in the top half of the 6th inning. Hammaker leads, and so do we.
first appearance since Wednesday, June 8th. Gave up an unearned run in Game 1 on June 6th, snapping a string of 7 straight scoreless outings. And Reds fans remember in that first game of the doubleheader in that homestand at Riverfront, Mike Lacoste walking Eric Davis to give up the winning run. That was a game in which he pitched 3 2/3 innings, and he's not really accustomed to that right now. He's done everything in his career, and it's been a fine career. 10 years that Mike Lacoste is in the big leagues. He's only 32 years old. He started, he's been a long man, and this year he's been mostly used as a short man, so as of late when he's had to go more than 2 or 3 innings, he hasn't been near as effective. As a matter of fact, he struggled a little bit after that appearance against the Reds physically and had some elbow problems where he's had to shut it down, meaning he hadn't been out there at all for about a week. But he said he's feeling pretty good now, and he gets all the time that he wants to warm up. We take a look at Eric waiting on deck, a couple of the Reds bat boys.
I remember Lacoste, of course, he was a promising starter in the Cincinnati Reds organization, is one he mentioned. Back in 1979, 14 and 8 and a 350 run average. That was the season he got 35 or 32 starts rather with Cincinnati and completed 6 games. He was very durable as well, pitched over 200 innings. They thought he was going to be around for a while, but that didn't turn out to be the case. Well, Lacoste is ready to go, and so are we. Here's Eric Davis. 0-1 the count. And quickly 0-2. Eric ranks among the league leaders in average as well, along with RBIs and home runs. Fluctuating up and down, 290, 300 mark. Fouled off. Still 0-2.
Lacoste is a guy whose career almost came to an end in 1985. He was released by the Kansas City Royals. Had to make this Giants ball club out of spring training in '86 without a contract, and he's been a big addition here in San Francisco.
Did they get him? Yes, they did. Mr. Quick down at first base says, "You win, Eric," and that'll do it. 1 away.
Split finger. Another pitcher here that's developed that pitch from the side. We'll see Eric break his wrist. That head goes forward.
Orlando Room towards Will Clark. Over to Lacoste, 2 away.
And that's where you like having a 6'6" pitcher coming over to first base. Will Clark got that ball up pretty high, but with Lacoste's reach, he could throw it up about 9 or 10 feet, and he'll come down with it. It's like an infielder when you have a good-sized first baseman over there, somebody 6'4", 6'5". Just makes you so much more confident. I remember when Pete Rose went over to the Phillies and was going to play first base, that was one of the concerns was, hey, 5'9", might cause some difficulties, but it didn't. Pete became one of the best first basemen defensively, for sure, during his later years.
Paul O'Neill, 0 for 1, is also walked, was stranded at second base back in the 4th. 1-0 pitch, and Lacoste misses outside. 2-0. One swing of the bat by number 21 could put the Reds on top. 2-0, and now 3-0.
staying away entirely on Paul O'Neill. So Roger Craig thinking along with you, Tom. He doesn't want O'Neill to hit his third home run here in 3 days.
He wasn't even close. So O'Neill on 4 straight pitches for the second time today is walked. And that'll bring up Bo Diaz, who has driven in the lone Cincinnati run. With the bases loaded back in the fourth, Bo hit one sharply at Ernest Rouse. Tried to get in front of it, could not. It bounced away to his left, allowing Todd Benzinger to score from third. 1-1 our score. O'Neill on the move. Fouled off. On the Western Division standings, going into today's play, we mentioned the fact San Francisco on top, followed closely by Houston and Cincinnati. The Dodgers have the opportunity to maybe pick up some ground, but have struggled against Atlanta. The Reds would like to narrow that gap as they leave the Bay Area to a half game. Could do so by winning today.
Wasn't surprising to see Paul O'Neill on the move here with 2 outs. Lacoste not real quick in his delivery home. Pretty big leg kick.
0-1. Swing and a miss. 0-2. Fans, a great way to reward yourself after the ball game, win or lose, is with the clean, crisp taste of Beechwood Age Budweiser. You betcha. This Bud's for you. 0-2 to Diaz. O'Neill leading at first. 1-1. 2 gone in the 6th. Bo not quite ready to step in there and take a hack at it. Oh, 2. Thought something was going there. They pitched it out.
How about the way the crowd is really out of this game? The Giants really haven't generated enough things offensively off Jose Rijo, and we've got 40,000 plus here, and you wouldn't know it.
No, you definitely would not. 1-1. Drive to left field. Mitchell heading that way and makes the catch. Reds strand yet another runner. 1-1, middle of the 6th. Bag day on Saturday, June 24th, when the Reds meet the Dodgers at 2:15. The first 15,000 fans in attendance, 18 and over, will receive a free canvas gym bag. Tickets for this and all other special dates are available at the stadium ticket office, gift shop, and all Ticketmaster outlets. Remember Gym Bag Day, Saturday, June 24th, thanks to Big. 1-1 our score. As we go to the bottom half of the 6th inning for Roger Craig's team against Jose Rijo, it will be Will Clark, Kevin Mitchell, and Ernest Riles. And hopefully nothing after that. You've done your chores, so to speak, if you get those 3 out. And Clark will be the first. Rio has not taken any chances with this guy today. He's walked him both times. And as Lenny made mention of a little bit earlier, he has been walked 8 times over his career. Speaking of walks, the guy who immediately comes to mind in the Reds lineup, being Cal Daniels, swing and a miss, is expected to return Tuesday night in Atlanta.
He's ready, Tom. He's really anxious to get out there. He's swinging the bat good in batting practice and ready to get out there and get some game competition and see if that knee will hold up here.
Asked him a little bit about that before the ball game, and he said one thing he felt that has really helped him is the fact he had the opportunity to face Ron Robinson being live pitching in San Diego the other day. And that might be what you hear the most, Clark singles to right, is getting that timing back.
Unfortunately, I was involved in a lot of those simulated games, being on the disabled list quite a bit. And you're right, they do help quite a bit. Even though there's nothing like stepping out there in front of 40,000 people and millions watching on TV and getting in that game competition, it's good to see something more than 80-mile-an-hour fastballs in batting practice. And we've got a little trouble brewing here in San Francisco as Kevin Mitchell's coming up now following that Will Clark single.
So Clark, the leadoff man, on at first, and here's Mitchell. Rio has kept him at bay so far. 0 for 2. Grounded out to Benzinger and hit a fly ball to right. Crowd starting to pick it up a little bit. First pitch coming to Mitchell. Ball high. His 24 home runs this season are a career high. Now 2-0.
Doesn't it seem like every time Kevin Mitchell comes up, there's either 1 or 2 giants aboard? We took a look at that little shin guard that he wears down and around his ankle. Early in his career with the Mets and even in the minor leagues, he used to foul so many pitches off on that foot and ankle that he always protects it now just in case.
Fouls it off. Out of play. 2 balls and 1 strike.
You know, he keeps going. Every kid in America will be wearing one of those little shin protectors. You know how kids are. They love to modify what they see on TV. And what the big leaguers do. But there's a purpose for that.
Two balls and 1 strike. Nobody out. Bottom half of the 6th, Clark at first. Now 3-1. Mitchell will have the green light all the way for sure right here. Rio from the belt. Checks Clark. Here comes a 3-1. Check swing. And yes, they do get the force at second base. It was after Harris had already touched second and was trying to make the throw to first. 1 out.
Kevin Mitchell out in front of a good slider that Jose throws 3-1. No problem. The out's right there. That's the out. He had possession. But one thing you have to question is on a ball like that, no way you're going to get 2. Just get the force. Get yourself out of there so you don't get taken out. You have to know the situation. There's no way in the world you're going to double up anybody. I shouldn't say anybody, but somebody like Kevin Mitchell, who's a good athlete and hustles down the line. So you just get the 1 out and say, hey, we got that dangerous hitter to take a half a swing. Credit Jose Rio there was making an excellent 3-1 pitch there.
So here's Ernest Riles. Mitchell at first, 1 out. Outside corner, strike 1. Riles is Fly to center and grounded to second.
See Norm Charlton heating up down the left field line there in the Reds bullpen.
0-1. Quinones tied at third. And he slaps it foul. No balls and 2 strikes. Of course, one of the wins on this road trip was Rijo's first major league shutout and his first National League complete game when he blanked the Dodgers 4-0. But he came back with a rough outing in San Diego, which saw him go only 5. Oh, 2 pitch. 1-2.
One of the things I find surprising as I've watched this Giants ball club, you know, they've yet to establish a real solid number 5 hitter behind Kevin Mitchell, but he's really not being walked intentionally as much as I thought he would. And here's a guy that's been a leadoff hitter practically his whole career, now thrust into the number 5 spot. And that really changes a hitter's thinking. When you're a leadoff guy or hitting second, you take pitches, you might want to try to draw walks, anything to get on base. But boy, when you're hitting 5th, you're there to drive in runs, and you can't take. And Dusty Baker, their batting coach on the Giants, talked about how this has been an adjustment that Ernest Riles is slowly learning how to deal with.
2-2 pitch. Mitchell at first. Whoa, almost got him leaning right there. Perhaps Craig had something happen.
Jose's got that quick, it's almost like a little jump move. We don't see it there, but so many times you see the runners just getting ready to start their move towards second on that particular move of Jose's, and almost getting Kevin.
There he goes. Larkin will have to go to first, and he gets in. 2 down in the inning.
An example right there of scouting reports becoming so important in the major leagues. 9 times out of 10 with a left-handed hitter, the shortstop will cover second base when the runner's moving at first base. This time the Reds change up, put Lenny Harris as the cover man on second, and that leaves Barry right where he is. Otherwise, that's a base hit, and Kevin Mitchell walks to third base, and it's trouble. And a lot of times, those advanced scouts, they're unnoticed. If they do their job, it can really help in that wins-loss column. You see Scotty Breeden out there now to talk to Jose.
Got to wonder if he's asking how strong Rijo might feel at this point. Rijo obviously convinced Scott Breeden not to go with Norm Charlton, but to leave him in there with 2 gone in the 6th.
And as so often happens when a new player appears on the scene for the first time, here's a guy from the American League his entire career. Scott Breeden's going out there and just asking maybe Bo Diaz if he knows this guy at all. Knows Sheridan. Bringing in the infielders. Any tip right now that you can get on a new player like Pat Sheridan becomes very, very helpful. And somewhere along the line, somebody out on that field has played against Pat Sheridan, so maybe Scotty just passing along some advice there from the bench. Because you got dangerous, a very dangerous, good clutch hitter in Terry Kennedy on deck.
Mitchell at second base. Here's Sheridan. And misses low and away, ball 1. Rijo has done a good job on him so far today. Sheridan has grounded out to second and has struck out swinging. Rijo has pitched a pretty good ball game so far through 5 2/3. And this should do it. Harris a little trouble getting that ball out of the mitt, but in time to retire Sheridan. The Giants, 1 base hit, they leave a runner. We've played 6, we're even at the stick. One Giants, 1. Candlestick Park, the rubber game of the 3-game series here at the mentioned that the Reds have to pick one another up. Bo Diaz has driven in a run, but not a whole lot else besides that so far.
No, there really hasn't been, because the pitching's been so outstanding. Atlee Hammaker had to leave the game because of an injury, but Jose is doing a great job this afternoon, only walking 2 hitters, and that being Will Clark both times. So that's the big key today for Jose. We got Mike Lacoste in there right now, and we got to get something going here as it's getting late here in the top of the 7th inning.
That it is. Lenny Harris, then Rijo, straight towards Thompson. That's another thing the Reds have done a lot of this weekend and on this road trip. Swing at first pitches.
Swing at first pitches, and not really good hitters' pitches. You know, they're the pitches that Mike Lacoste certainly works left-handers away a good majority of the time. So if that's your plan, to go up there and look for the ball away, as a left-handed hitter, you better be hitting the ball the other way and not topping it and grounding it to second base like we've seen so often.
Well, here's Rijo. Takes the first pitch, ball 1. Jose has a base hit. He's also struck out. Trying to get something started back in that third with 1 out. He had a single, but Quinones followed with a 5-4-3 double play. Reds with 5 base hits, San Francisco with 4. Pitching again today, similar to Friday night, has been very, very good.
Let's get back to some of that first ball hitting a little bit, Tom, because it's really appearing to be a problem throughout the league, especially with young hitters.
Should be the second out, and it is.
And
quickly pause. We'll get back to that for station identification along the Reds television network. 1-1 our score. Top of the 7th inning, 2 gone. And let me continue on with that thought, if you would.
Well, I know that Greg Jeffrey is the fine rookie from the Mets is being accused of being impatient. And, you know, it's so easy to do as a youngster when you're trying to establish yourself, because one of the first things that happens when you get on the scene in the big leagues is that the manager or the batting coach, whatever, will say, hey, you're not going to stay here by walking. Swing the bat, be aggressive. And that's true to a point, but you've got to establish the strike zone to some degree, because these pitchers out there, they're always watching, they're always observing, and they will just eat a young hitter up if he's out there just swinging at any pitch at any time.
Quinones 0 for 3, and all 3 times has gone towards third baseman Ernest Riles. In the dirt, 1-1. One ball and 1 strike coming to Quinones. Upstairs, 2-1. In case you're wondering, we will be televising a couple of nights from Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium, Tuesday and Wednesday. And Johnny Bench will be back with us down in the Peach State. But Lenny, it's certainly been a pleasure working with you.
I can't remember having as much fun as I've had here doing these 4 telecasts, Tom. It's really been a pleasure.
2-2. Swing and a miss. Lacoste punches him out. We're in the middle of the 7th. 1-1 our score. 1-1 our score. Bottom half of the 7th inning. Jose Rijo still out there for Cincinnati. He has been dynamite so far. Fouled off by Terry Kennedy, and Rijo quickly ahead. No balls and 2 strikes.
So different from the game that we saw in San Diego. That's just been Jose's history here lately, on again, off again, and he was definitely on today.
And the Giants with some activity as Kennedy starts it out with a single to left field here in the 7th. Ernie Camacho
possibility of a pinch runner here for Kennedy. We're into the 7th inning. Doesn't run all that well. They've got Kurt Manwaring on the bench. And here comes a pinch runner, all right. Donnell Nixon.
Nixon came on the pinch hit, you may remember, in Friday night's ball game.
And this guy means trouble because in 1983 with Bakersfield, he stole 144 bases and followed that performance up the next year with 102.
Well, we understand Curtis Strange has won his 2nd straight U.S. Open. Finished at 2 under par to bring home the goods. The Virginia Beach, Virginia native has done something nobody has done in a long, long time. 1-0 pitch. Uribe misses. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Talking about Nixon, that year that he stole the 144 bases would have been a professional record, except Vince Coleman, now of the Cardinals, stole 3 in his last minor league game to have 145.
Well, Uribe will be trying to advance Nixon on, and now Rijo throws on to Benzinger. This guy, the perfect man, if you're Roger Craig, to have up in this kind of situation. 1 ball, 1 strike. Quinones is parked about 8 steps in at 3rd. And Rijo misses high and away. 2-1. Well, they've got everybody moving. Quinones towards the plate. Likewise for Benzinger at first base. Larkin is going towards second with his second baseman Harris moving over to first to cover there. Outfield shallow in center and in left. O'Neill a little bit deeper in right. Two-one pitch. There goes a runner, and he slaps it towards right, base hit. Nixon will move on to third, and trouble here at Candlestick. They changed their thinking there, Lenny, in a 2-1 count.
And Roger Craig will do that so often in what appears to be a sure bunting situation. But having a guy like Uribe really gives you the luxury because he can handle the bat so well. And he shows you right there by lining that single. And Donnell Nixon easily on his way to third base. And now we've got another pinch hitter. Former St. Louis Cardinal, former Atlanta Brave, Ken Oberkfell steps in to hit for Mike Lacoste.
Oberkfell, this is what the Giants wanted when they brought him over here, a left-handed pinch hitter coming off the bench, and they did the same thing by acquiring Sheridan. First pitch, strike 1. Oberkfell, 211 as a pinch hitter, but he has driven in 4 runs. So he obviously has gotten the job done in key situations for this ball club, and maybe Bo Diaz going to talk things over with Jose Rijo about exactly how to pitch this guy.
One of those hits being a home run, which is a rare home run from Ken Oberkfell. What you want to do with Obi here is keep the ball inside on him and make him pull it, because he has a tendency to hit a lot of ground balls to second base. And if you throw the ball out over the plate, you're playing right into his hands.
Here comes the 0-1 pitch. Low and away. Count even at 1 ball and 1 strike. At third base is Donnell Nixon. At first base across the diamond, Jose Uribe. They've come up with back-to-back singles to get things started here in the 7th. Rijo needs a strikeout in a big way. Here comes a 1-1. Fly ball. Shallow left field. Rooms calling off Larkin, and Larkin makes the catch. Now that is a rather odd set of circumstances there. You would think Rooms would be the guy to make the catch because he's coming in when have a better opportunity to throw the runner out at the plate.
Well, with the conditions here at Candlestick like they are with the wind and the crowd noise, Rolando has to be screaming and I mean screaming that he's got it, because otherwise Barry has no way of knowing, and Barry does the right thing. He keeps going after it. He literally takes it right out of the glove of Rooms right there and has the presence of mind to get it back into the infield quickly, because with somebody like Nixon on third with his speed, he may have trotted home, because Larkin's momentum was taking him way out into left field. So that's a real big play and a fine play by Barry, setting up a double play situation, except this guy's a little tough to double up.
That he is. Brett Butler, the Reds infield, pulls in now, aware of Butler's speed, and he laces a hit to left field. 2-1 San Francisco. And I'm telling you what, people can talk about Vince Coleman all they want as being the best leadoff man in the National League. I would certainly argue for that man right there, Brett Butler.
Brett Butler has the numbers to prove that over his years. Just good hitting. Ball down and starting to tail away a fastball, and he goes with it. Knows that the infield's drawn in and just lines it into left field, scoring Donnell Nixon.
Well, Uribe advances on to second base. Butler stands at first. One out in the inning for Robbie Thompson. He's got a hit in 3 trips. Doubled in Butler back in the third. 2-1 San Francisco, 1 out. Fouls it off. So Rijo ahead of Thompson, 0-2, as Norm Charlton again cranking it up down in the Cincinnati bullpen. Brett Butler, an RBI single here in the 7th to put the Giants on top 2-1. Reds desperately need a win here in Game 3 of this series. Let's see if they can come from behind, but Rijo must get out of this jam first. I said 0-2. The scoreboard reads 1-1. Uribe at second, Butler at first. We'll go with a 1-1 count. Thompson a good stick at the plate. Runners on the go, and he fouls it off. And now the Giants bullpen is active. Be interesting to see who Roger Craig will bring in out of that duo.
Randy Camacho and Craig Lefferts there from the Giants bullpen, and Rob Dibble has gotten up quickly, and he's heating up along with Norm Charlton. Robbie Thompson's Roger Craig's main action man. He's the guy that he loves to put the hit and run on, do a lot of bunting with. Couldn't come through that time, though.
Again, they're on the move, and Thompson again fouls it off. Thompson has the confidence of Craig, and they're going to try and make it happen here in the 7th.
A little surprising, though. Not so much that they're running with first and second, but with 2 strikes, and Robbie Thompson, a guy that strikes out a lot. A little bit surprising, but he does strike out quite a bit. You could really run yourself out of an inning as quickly as you had a big inning going.
1-2 pitch. And now Rijo will send Uribe back to second.
I'll tell you, that was close to being a balk. Jose just lifted his leg up straight. Had the presence of mind to just make a little bit of a turn there at the end. Otherwise, it surely would have been a balk.
1-2 pitch. See if the runners are on the go. They're not. Straight up right field. O'Neill battling the sun and the wind, makes the catch. And Uribe advances on to third. Well, an outfielder has so much on his mind out there, Len, between the sun and the wind. The last thing he's thinking about is the runner tagging up. He just wants to catch the ball.
The last few seconds there, Paul had to move 10 to 15 feet to stay with that ball, and you're right. You're saying to yourself that you're just glad to get the ball into your glove. And for a split second, you lose thought, and that's all it takes for somebody like Jose Uribe to go into third base. So that's going to bring out a new pitcher, Norm Charlton, coming in here in the bottom of the 7th inning with 2 outs.
And as Charlton comes on, Rijo will depart. A good performance, but will it be enough? We'll return with 2 aboard and 2 outs in the 7th. Giants 2, Reds 1. San Francisco is taking the lead with 1 run here in the 7th inning, and with the pitching change, that of course means it is time once again for our Valvoline Oil Cincinnati Reds pitching change challenge. Danny Pittman from Elmore, Ohio. He registered at the Valvoline Oil retailer or installer and nationwide in Oak Harbor, Ohio. Charlton now on for Pete Rose's club to face the deadly Will Clark.
Big situation here for Norm.
Strike 1 on the inside corner. When you talk about pressure, this is it right here for the Reds' young left-hander. Faces another sweet swinging left-hander at the plate, the 0-1. Inside first pitch, ball outside now.
Norm not used to coming in situations where the runners here at first and third in the 7th inning can mean the ball game.
2-1 the count. Well, with men in scoring position, he is one of the deadliest players in the game. He has a .316 batting average in his career, but with 2 outs, it jumps to .345. This guy loves the pressure situation, and he fouls it down the first base line. 2-2.
So all you're saying there, Tom, is that the more heat that's on Will Clark, the better he performs. And that's why already, in only his 3rd year, he's a superstar here in the National League.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Uribe at third. Across the diamond is Brett Butler. 2 outs. Giants leading 2-1, bottom of the 7th. And now Charlton steps off the pitching rubber, right back on. Clark out of the batter's box, and will take a moment or 2 to regroup.
One of the pluses here for Norm is that he knows he's in here for this one hitter, because if he gets Clark out, certainly the officer will be brought in.
There goes Butler, right back up, and what a play by Charlton. Oh, he saved a run and maybe more in the inning. So he retires Will Clark on a fine defensive gem. 2-1 at the end of 7. We'll have it made in the shade Sunday, July 2nd, when the Reds meet the Mets at 2:15 on Budweiser Sunglasses Day. The first 15,000 fans in attendance, 21 and over, will receive a free pair of red and white sunglasses. Tickets for this and all of the special dates are available at the stadium ticket office, gift shop, and all Ticketmaster outlets at Sunglasses Day, Sunday, July 2nd, thanks to our friends at Budweiser. 2-1 Giants. They take the lead in the bottom half of the 7th inning off Jose Uribe. A fine piece of work by Norm Charlton. And now Roger Craig brings on his 3rd pitcher of the day.
He is Ernie Macho Camacho. Recently recalled from Phoenix. Back on June 8th. He's only going to be his 2nd appearance on Thursday through two shutout innings against the Atlanta Braves. But down in Phoenix, he recorded saves in his last 7 appearances on the year. He was 2-0 with an unbelievable 0.34 earned run average. He appeared in 21 games. He had 8 saves. This guy used to be a big stopper there in the American League. Had some physical problems, but he's another one that has learned the split finger fastball, and his career very well could be revitalized here in San Francisco.
Well, let's hope the Reds can find some energy in their bats against Camacho here in the 8th inning, and they've got some good ones coming up. Benzinger, Larkin, and Davis, hopefully more. Reds trailing by 1. We're in the top of the 8th inning. Rijo pitched well. Atlee Hammaker pitched well. And Mike Lacoste gave Roger Craig 2 dynamite innings of relief work. He allowed no base hits, struck out a couple, and walked 1. Today's attendance, 44,552. 2-0 to Benzinger.
And like we see so many relievers in baseball today, Camacho working entirely out of the stretch. Don't even want to fool with the windup, because they know they're coming into games with men on base more times than not, and they just feel more comfortable working out of their stretch.
He's fallen behind 2-0 to Benzinger. And now 3 balls and no strikes. Craig Lefferts, who is down there warming up with Camacho, has gone back into the mini clubhouse down there, if you would. And he walks Benzinger on 4 straight. Very shortly, we'll be bringing you up to date on all the National League scores around the league, and then the American League in the bottom half of the 8th. But the Reds trying to get something cooking here in the 8th against Camacho. Go ahead and do that now, Lynn.
All right, here's the National League scoreboard here. We'll update you. The Cubs beat the Expos 5-4. Andre Dawson, his 6th home run. The Phillies defeat New York 6-5. Von Hayes, his 13th home run. Hayes hit a home run in the bottom of the 9th to win that game. The Pirates over the Cardinals 12-4. Morris Madden with 5 innings of relief work getting the win. Gary Reedus with a 3-run shot in that game. The Astros over San Diego in the bottom of the 9th now, 5-2. Craig Biggio and Ken Caminiti have homered for the Astros. Do the American League roundup in the bottom of the 8th.
Well, here's Larkin as Benzinger leads at first. High and tight. And that brings Roger Craig out of the San Francisco dugout. Camacho has delivered 5 balls since coming in relief.
And there you see Roger walking out ever so slowly, because as he's walking out, he's telling Norm Sherry to call down to the bullpen and get Craig Lefferts up. And there we see Lefferts. But he was heating up earlier, so I would imagine it wouldn't take him very long. Maybe a half a dozen pitches, 10 at the most, before he'd be ready to come into this game.
And he may be getting those half a dozen in right now, because Craig is spending a considerable amount of time with the Giants infield out towards the mound. And he's going to go ahead and make the move. So the call goes down to Craig Lefferts. Camacho faces 1+. Walks Benzinger. He's behind 1-0 to Larkin. And Lefferts sprints in from that bullpen down the right field line. Well, as he sprints in, will break away. 2-1. San Francisco leading Cincinnati. Benzinger at first. Nobody out. Camacho and brought on Craig Lefferts.
Craig Lefferts, left-hander, born in Munich, West Germany. 6'1", 210-pounder. Supposedly Roger Craig's stopper, but on Friday night we saw Lefferts come into the game in place of Rick Rushell. And after a couple of base hits given up by Lefferts, he was removed. So you have to wonder about the confidence that Roger Craig has in bringing in Craig Lefferts. He has 9 saves in his last 17 appearances. During one stretch there in late April and early May, Lefferts was uncanny, retiring 29 consecutive batters over 5+ games. Good fastball, slider, but he's got that screwball that he likes to throw right-handers, and that might be one of the reasons why Craig chose to bring Lefferts in this situation, especially with Eric Davis coming up behind Barry Larkin here.
Well, 1 ball and no strikes to Larkin, with Benzinger leading at first. Wiles coming in from third base, and he misses inside. 2-0. Well, he's been the stopper for Roger Craig's ball club. However, you know that will change soon as Steve Bedrosian gets here, whether it be later tonight or tomorrow, because he's going to be the guy that Roger Craig's going to call upon from here on out to put the nail in the coffin. 3-0. These are the kinds of things that will drive a manager absolutely nuts. You get a lead, you take it into the 8th, you bring on one reliever, he walks a guy on 4 straight, and now Lefferts is 1 pitch away from doing the same to Barry Larkin. 3-1.
Never know it, though, looking at Roger Craig. He always seems to have that same appearance, in control. Does not show a whole lot of emotion, but may be one of the more respected managers in baseball today. I've never heard a player that played for Roger Craig say a negative thing about his managing style.
Whoa, they almost got Benzinger. And that has been a disastrous problem for the Reds on base this year.
Lefferts gives that look towards home, but the legs coming towards first base. And you're right, Tom, we've seen a lot of shaky base running by the Reds, especially in critical situations late in the game.
3-1 to Larkin. And a drive to center field, but right at Brett Butler. And Larkin has hit the ball hard all 4 times today, but right at someone.
I had to look 2 times on the scoreboard here when they flashed up 0 for 3. We haven't seen Barry go hitless very often here in the last month or so. He hit that ball good, but it's just not going anywhere to center field today. I want to pass along this final to you. Houston has defeated San Diego now 5-2. I assume Mike Scott wins his 11th game.
Well, here's Eric Davis, 0 for 3. And he, too, twice has hit the ball deep. Once to the track and center, the other the track and left, off his fist. And they only get 1.
That is so frustrating for Eric Davis and any hitter, but especially a power guy like Eric, who knows with one good swing he could make this game a 3-2 ball game. But Lefferts has such good off-speed stuff. Eric must have read it as being a fastball, tried to hold up, couldn't do it.
Well, Lefferts 1 out away from killing any kind of a Cincinnati threat here in the 8th. Rolando Runes, 2 for 3, has doubled and singled. His last time he grounded Clark's way. Straight up on the first pitch delivered. Thompson drifting out and right. Now Butler. And that ball flew from right to right center field, just like that. A fine job by Craig Lefferts. 2-1 Frisco. The Cincinnati Reds and Wheaties team up to present Johnny Bench commemorative 2-1 San Francisco, and Officer Dibble in the ball game now for Pete Rose. They'll face Kevin Mitchell, followed by Ernest Riles, and then Pat Sheridan.
Tough test for Rob right off the bat and Kevin Mitchell. Joel Youngblood's also gone into the game. He's in left field.
Benzinger in foul ground, giving chase, and cannot catch up with it. Youngblood in left as Rolando Rooms moves into center field.
And there you see the fine numbers that Rob Dibble has posted this year. On top of that, opposing hitters only batting 179 against him. 13 strikeouts in his last 6 innings and 37 in his last 21 and a third. 70 total this season. He leads the National League in appearances. This is his 35th.
Mitchell went a little too far there. Count 1 ball and 2 strikes. One of Dibble's more sour moments of this season was against this very same man, Kevin Mitchell, in Riverfront just last week. Mitchell took him deep to win it. Let's see what happens in this situation. 1-2. And he fouls it off first base side. It'll stay right there. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Mitchell 0 for 3. And you're doing a job when you keep this guy hitless. One, 2. Dibble kicks and throws outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
The Reds don't quite have that shift on as severely as they did in Riverfront a few weeks back. Lenny's not quite on the shortstop side of second base, but a shift nonetheless.
And when you look just at today's at-bats for Mitchell, 2 out of the 3 times he has gone to the right side. Swing and a miss. Good slider by Dibble to put him down. 1 out.
Give you our update here of the American League scores. Baltimore defeats Oakland, winning 3 out of 4 there, 4-2. Dave Schmidt, the winner, retired the first 14 batters. He went 6 innings, allowing only 3 hits. The Rangers over the Yankees, 5-2. Charlie Huff, the winner. Cleveland over Kansas City, 4-1. Greg Swindell, his 4th complete game, 9-1 on the year, and his ERA drops to 2.47. Bo Jackson, his 16th home run for the Royals. Tigers off to their worst start in 13 years. 16 games under 500 now. They lose to Mike Witt and the California Angels 3-1. Seattle defeats Toronto 8-2. Jay Buhner, a big 2-run triple in the first inning, and the Mariners cruise the rest of the way. Gary Gaetti, a 2-run homer, his 2nd of the game in the bottom of the 9th. And that defeats, or in the top of the 9th. Bottom of the 9th. All right, we got it right here. At the Metrodome, that's Gaetti's 11th and 12th on the year. The Twins beat the Brewers 8-6. Jeff Reardon, his first win of the year. And Boston over Chicago 7-4. Former Red Joe Price, the winner. His record's 1-2. Luis Rivera goes 4 for 4. Now you're all caught up around the major leagues.
Worry about the one that we are concerned about the outcome. Rob Dibble 3-2 to Ernest Riles. Towards Lenny Harris. 2 up, 2 down in the inning.
He's not striking him out. The hitters that make contact don't even make solid contact against Rob right now. He is just so overpowering. I'm not sure I've seen a relief pitcher come in to the major leagues like this and dominate like Rob has here this season.
With 2 down, here's Sheridan. He's 0 for 3. That one gets away from Bo Diaz. A little bit more action to come, Reds fans, so open a cold Budweiser and get ready with that clean, crisp taste that only comes from Beechwood aging. This Bud's for you. 1-1 to Sheridan. Well, Sheridan 0 for 3 in his National League debut. The guy he was traded in exchange for, Tracy Jones, hit a home run in his first at bat. Good play by Larkin to knock him down at first. The Reds have 3 outs to go. Can they come back one more time at Candlestick? We'll find out in just a moment. Time for the Reds to play catch up once again here at Candlestick Park in San Francisco. They trail the home team Giants 2-1. Top half of the 9th inning, and again it's Craig Lefferts who did such a fine job coming on in the 8th. After Camacho had walked the first batter, on came Lefferts, and he knocked him down 1, 2, 3, those being Larkin, Davis, and then Rolando Rooms. Be Paul O'Neill, Bo Diaz, and Lenny Harris here in the 9th.
Paul got a big hit against Lefferts in that big come-from-behind win on Friday night. Needs to get something going right here.
And O'Neill has been questioning calls all afternoon long from John Kibler behind the plate. He didn't like that one either. The 0-1. Even up, 1 ball, 1 strike. Now this would be a prime time for O'Neill to continue his haunting ways on San Francisco pitching. He's hit dingers in the last 2 ball games. Why not a hat trick? Ooh. 1 and 2.
Lefferts does such a good job of keeping that slider on the outside corner or just off of it. It just tantalizes a left-handed hitter. It's so hard to lay off because it's such a big breaking slider.
Came back with the gas there, 1 and 2.
He's one of the rare left-handers that's not afraid to throw the screwball to a left-handed batter. You know that when Fernando Valenzuela was going real good, he hesitated to throw that screwball to lefties. He would go more to his breaking ball.
O'Neill towards third, and foul ground. Riles is there. And O'Neill in disgust slams his bat, walking back to the Cincinnati dugout, 1 away. Well, the Reds are 2 outs away from a very, very, very disappointing trip here into San Francisco, and you couple that with one in San Diego. And this does not look like a contending team within these last, well, 5 or 6 days. In the dirt, 1-0.
The Giants certainly showing everybody why they're a contender. Executing all series long.
And right at Sheridan. 2 down.
And really, with the exception of the one pitch that Goose Gossage laid into Eric Davis on Friday, this would have been a 3-game sweep for the Giants. So if you look at it that way, maybe not as bad as it could have been. Because the Reds, at least the Giants fans here that night on Friday, certainly thought the Reds were written off. So you're right, though, Tom. Just little things that as the season goes down here, especially in the Western Division, when you have to execute down the end, down the stretch innings there, it's going to make it awful tough to stay on top when you've got teams like the Giants and the Houston Astros.
Harris swings at the first pitch. The old buddies, Thompson and Uribe, congratulate one another as Thompson makes the final putout. Lefferts picks up the save. And the Reds have fallen 2 of 3 to Roger Craig's San Francisco Giants. We'll be back to talk about it in just a moment.